Welcome. Find a comfortable position. Take a slow, deep breath. For the next hour, you'll hear fascinating stories about automobiles, delivered in a gentle, steady voice to help you relax and drift into peaceful sleep. Let your breathing slow, feel your muscles relax, and prepare for a peaceful journey through automotive history and engineering. Each word is chosen to interest your mind while calming your body. Close your eyes whenever you feel ready. And let's begin our quiet exploration of the automobile. In 1885, a German blacksmith named Gottlieb Daimler attached a small engine to a wooden bicycle, creating the first motorcycle. The same year, he installed a similar engine into a wooden carriage, creating one of the first motorized vehicles. Daimler never met Carl Benz, who worked just 60 miles away developing his own automobile at the same time. The two companies they founded would eventually merge to form Mercedes-Benz. Ransom Eli Olds created the first American automobile factory that used a progressive assembly process in 1901. His Oldsmobile Curved Dash was the first mass-produced car in America, with 5,000 built by 1904. A factory fire in 1901 destroyed everything except the prototype and the blueprints for this model, forcing Olds to rebuild his entire operation around this single design. Camille Genetzi was a Belgian race car driver who became the first person to exceed 60 miles per hour in an automobile. In 1899, driving an electric car shaped like a torpedo that he called La Jamais Contente, meaning the never satisfied, he reached 65.79 miles per hour. His electric vehicle held the land speed record until 1902, when it was broken by a steam-powered car. Louis Chevrolet was a Swiss race car driver who came to America in 1900. William Durant recruited him in 1911 to create a car company that would bear his name. Ironically, Louis Chevrolet left the company after just 4 years due to disagreements with Durant, selling his stock long before Chevrolet became one of America's biggest brands. He died in 1941 working as a mechanic in a Chevrolet dealership. The Duryea brothers, Charles and Frank, won America's first automobile race on Thanksgiving Day in 1895. The race covered 52 miles through Chicago in a snowstorm. Of the 6 cars that started, only 2 finished. The Duryea's average speed was 7.5 miles per hour. The prize money was $2,000, a substantial sum in 1895. The first rear-view mirror in a car was installed by race car driver Ray Harroun in 1911 for the Indianapolis 500. Other racers used riding mechanics who would look backward to monitor competitors. Harroun wanted to race alone, so he bolted a mirror to his car. Race officials initially objected, calling it unfair, but eventually allowed it. He won the race, and rear-view mirrors became standard equipment within a decade. Windshield wipers were invented twice, independently. Mary Anderson patented a manually operated wiper in 1903, but it wasn't adopted by manufacturers. Charlotte Bridgewood invented an automatic version in 1917 powered by the engine. By 1922, Cadillac made them standard equipment. Anderson's patent had expired by then, so she never profited from her invention. The first car heater was invented in 1893 and used a coal stove. Passengers had to be careful not to burn themselves on the hot metal. The first practical heater that used engine heat wasn't invented until 1929. It redirected hot air from the engine into the passenger compartment through simple vents. Air conditioning wouldn't become common until the 1960s. Cadillac introduced the first production V8 engine in 1914. The engine displaced 314 cubic inches and produced 70 horsepower, which was remarkable for the time. This V8 was so smooth and reliable that it helped establish Cadillac's reputation for luxury and refinement. The basic V8 configuration Cadillac pioneered would dominate American automotive design for the next century. The center-mounted brake light, now called the CHM-SL or third brake light, was developed by psychologist John Voevodsky in 1974. His research showed that a brake light at eye level reduced rear-end collisions significantly. It became mandatory on all new cars in the United States in 1986. This simple addition has prevented countless accidents. Rolls-Royce built their reputation on silence and refinement. Engineers would measure noise levels inside their cars and compare them to competing luxury vehicles. Legend says that in early Rolls-Royce cars, the loudest sound was the ticking of the dashboard clock. The company replaced a mechanical clock with an electric one to eliminate even that small disturbance. The Lincoln Continental, introduced in 1939, had a unique feature: a spare tire mounted on the rear deck lid. This distinctive styling element became iconic and was copied by many other manufacturers. The Continental was named because company president Edsel Ford wanted a car with a European flair, hence the name suggesting continental Europe. Packard was once America's premier luxury car brand, rivaling Cadillac and Lincoln. In the 1930s, Packard offered a V12 engine option that displaced 445 cubic inches and produced 160 horsepower. The company's motto was "Ask the man who owns one," reflecting confidence that satisfied customers with the best advertisement. Packard couldn't survive the post-World War II market and ceased production in 1958. The Tucker 48, produced in 1948, included numerous innovations ahead of its time. It had a rear-mounted engine, disc brakes, fuel injection, and a padded dashboard for safety. The center headlight turned with the steering wheel to illuminate around corners. Only 51 were built before the company collapsed amid financial scandal. Today, Tucker 48s are extremely valuable collector cars. Cord automobiles of the 1930s featured front-wheel drive, when almost every other car had rear-wheel drive. The Cord 810 and 812 models had hidden headlights that retracted into the fenders, a feature that wouldn't become common until the 1960s. The company only lasted a few years, but their innovative designs influenced automotive styling for decades. During World War I, automobile factories converted to producing trucks, ambulances, and even aircraft engines. The Liberty engine, designed by Packard and produced by multiple manufacturers, powered American aircraft. Over 20,000 Liberty engines were built in just 18 months, a remarkable achievement in mass production. The military Jeep was developed in just 49 days in 1940 to meet Army requirements. 3 companies competed: Willis Overland, American Bantam, and Ford. Willis won the contract, though Ford also produced them under license. Over 600,000 Jeeps were built during World War II. General Dwight Eisenhower called the Jeep one of the tools that won the war. During World War II, American automobile production for civilians essentially stopped. Factories retooled to build tanks, aircraft, and other military equipment. From 1942 to 1945, only a few hundred civilian cars were made, mostly for essential services. This created enormous pent-up demand that fueled the automotive boom of the late 1940s and 1950s. The GMC CCKW, nicknamed Jimmy by soldiers, was a 2.5-ton truck used extensively in World War II. Over 500,000 were built. They could ford 32-inch deep water and climb 60% grades. After the war, surplus Jimmys were sold to civilians and became popular as farm trucks and commercial vehicles worldwide. Land Rover was created in 1948 partially as a response to Britain's steel shortage after World War II. Maurice Wilks, chief designer at Rover, created a vehicle using aluminum body panels because steel was rationed for export vehicles. The design was inspired by surplus American Jeeps. The Land Rover became an icon of British engineering and capability. President Dwight Eisenhower championed the interstate highway system after experiencing the difficulty of moving military equipment across the country. In 1919, as a young Army officer, he participated in a transcontinental convoy that took 62 days to travel from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. The experience convinced him that America needed better roads. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 created the interstate highway system. It authorized 41,000 miles of highways connecting all major cities. The project took 35 years to complete and cost over $100 billion, making it one of the largest public works projects in history. The interstates transformed American culture, enabling long-distance travel and interstate commerce. Interstate highways were designed with specific standards. Curves had to be gentle enough for safe travel at high speeds. Grades couldn't exceed 6%. All bridges had to have clearance of at least 14 feet. Interchanges were designed so traffic could merge smoothly. These standards created consistent, safe highways across the entire country. The interstate system required massive engineering projects. Mountains were tunneled through or cut away. Rivers were bridged. Swamps were filled or bridged. The construction employed millions of workers and consumed incredible quantities of concrete and asphalt. Some sections took years to complete due to difficult terrain or engineering challenges. The highways changed where and how Americans lived. Suburbs grew as commuting became easier. Motels and restaurants sprang up at highway exits. Small towns bypassed by the new roads often withered, while communities near interstate exchanges thrived. The automobile and the highway system reshaped the American landscape. The Plymouth Roadrunner, introduced in 1968, was named after the Warner Brothers cartoon character. Plymouth paid $50,000 for the rights to use the name, and the cartoon bird appeared in advertising and as a horn that went beep beep. The Roadrunner was designed as a budget muscle car, offering big block power without luxury features to keep the price low. The Dodge Charger Daytona and Plymouth Superbird featured enormous rear wings and pointed nose cones to improve aerodynamics for NASCAR racing. The wings stood 23 inches high, tall enough that the trunk lid could open beneath it. These modifications added about 15 miles per hour to top speed on NASCAR tracks. Only enough were built to meet NASCAR's homologation requirements. The AMC Javelin was American Motors Corporation's entry into the pony car market. While less famous than Mustangs and Camaros, the Javelin achieved success in Trans Am racing with drivers like Mark Donohue and Parnelli Jones. AMC offered bold color combinations with names like Big Bad Orange and Big Bad Blue, making Javelin stand out even in parking lots full of colorful muscle cars. The Oldsmobile 442 got its name from its original specifications: 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed manual transmission, and dual exhaust. Later, the 442 referred to a 400 cubic inch engine with 42, really meant to be 4 and 2, as a nod to the original naming. The name stuck even as specifications changed over the years. Insurance companies began charging extremely high rates for muscle cars in the early 1970s, particularly for young drivers. This made many high-performance cars unaffordable even if buyers could manage the purchase price. Combined with emissions regulations and rising fuel costs, these insurance rates helped end the muscle car era. The Clean Air Act of 1970 forced automobile manufacturers to dramatically reduce emissions. The law required 90% reductions in hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide by 1975. Manufacturers initially claimed this was impossible, but they developed catalytic converters and other technologies to meet the requirements. The catalytic converter was invented by Eugene Houdry in the 1950s, but it didn't become common until emissions regulations in the 1970s made it necessary. The converter uses precious metals like platinum, palladium, and rhodium to chemically transform harmful pollutants into less harmful substances. Modern three-way catalysts can eliminate over 95% of regulated pollutants. Lead was added to gasoline starting in the 1920s to prevent engine knock and increase octane. By the 1970s, researchers understood that lead emissions were poisoning the environment and harming human health, particularly children. Lead also poisoned catalytic converters, making them ineffective. The phase-out of leaded gasoline in the United States began in 1975 and was completed in 1996. The oxygen sensor, invented by Robert Bosch GmbH, monitors exhaust gases and provides feedback to the engine computer. This allows precise control of the air-fuel mixture, improving both emissions and fuel economy. The sensor was first used in production cars in 1976. Today's cars have multiple oxygen sensors providing continuous feedback. Electronic fuel injection gradually replaced carburetors starting in the 1980s. Fuel injection provides more precise control over the air-fuel mixture, improving performance, economy, and emissions. The last carbureted American car was built in 1990. Electronic control allows the engine computer to adjust fuel delivery hundreds of times per second based on various sensor inputs. Onboard diagnostics, or OBD, systems monitor the performance of emissions-related components. The first OBD systems appeared in the early 1980s. OBD2, introduced in 1996, standardized trouble codes and connected locations across all manufacturers. This made diagnosis easier and helped ensure that emission systems remain functional throughout the vehicle's life. Volkswagen built a factory in Brazil in 1953, beginning their expansion outside Germany. The Brazilian market had unique needs, so VW designed vehicles specifically for local conditions. The VW bus remained in production in Brazil until 2013, decades after production ended elsewhere. Brazil became one of VW's most important markets. Japanese manufacturers began exporting to the United States in the late 1950s. Early attempts struggled. The Toyota Toyota Crown, introduced to America in 1958, was underpowered for American highways and sold poorly. Toyota withdrew from the American car market and spent years improving their products before returning with vehicles better suited to American needs. South Korea's automotive industry began in the 1960s through partnerships with American and Japanese companies. Hyundai started assembling Ford Cortinas under license in 1968. By the 1970s, Korean companies were designing their own vehicles. Today, Hyundai and Kia are major global manufacturers, selling millions of vehicles annually in markets worldwide. China didn't allow private car ownership until the 1980s. The automotive market exploded in the 1990s and 2000s as the economy grew. Foreign manufacturers formed partnerships with Chinese companies to access the market. Today, China is the world's largest automobile market, with over 25 million vehicles sold annually, more than the United States and Japan combined. India's automotive industry developed differently, focusing on small, affordable vehicles suited to local conditions. The Maruti 800, introduced in 1983, was a joint venture between the Indian government and Suzuki. It became the car that motorized India, with over 2.5 million built over nearly 3 decades. Today, India is both a large market and a major manufacturing center. Alcohol fuels have powered vehicles since the early days of automobiles. Henry Ford designed the Model T to run on ethanol, gasoline, or a mixture of both. Brazil developed a large-scale ethanol fuel program in the 1970s using sugarcane. At one point, over 90% of new cars sold in Brazil ran on pure ethanol. Today, flex fuel vehicles that can use any mixture of gasoline and ethanol are common there. Compressed natural gas, or CNG, has been used as a vehicle fuel since the 1930s. Natural gas burns cleaner than gasoline, producing fewer emissions. However, CNG requires high-pressure tanks and provides less energy per volume than gasoline, reducing range. CNG vehicles are common in some countries, particularly for taxis and fleet vehicles, but have never become widespread in private vehicles. Propane, also called LPG for liquefied petroleum gas, is another alternative fuel. It's been used in vehicles since the 1940s, particularly in commercial fleets. Propane engines produce less carbon monoxide and fewer particulates than gasoline engines. The fuel is less expensive than gasoline in many markets. Conversion kits can allow gasoline vehicles to run on propane. Biodiesel is made from vegetable oil or animal fats. The first diesel engine, created by Rudolf Diesel in 1893, ran on peanut oil. Modern biodiesel can be used in conventional diesel engines with little or no modification. It's biodegradable and produces less pollution than petroleum diesel. However, large-scale biodiesel production competes with food crops for agricultural land. Hydrogen can be burned in modified internal combustion engines or used in fuel cells to generate electricity. BMW built small numbers of hydrogen-powered luxury sedans in the 2000s that used liquid hydrogen fuel. The only emission from burning hydrogen is water vapor, making it very clean. However, producing, storing, and distributing hydrogen presents significant challenges. Magnesium is even lighter than aluminum and is sometimes used in high-performance engines and wheels. Magnesium engine blocks and transmission cases save significant weight. However, magnesium is expensive, difficult to machine, and can corrode if not properly protected. It's also highly flammable when powdered, requiring special precautions during manufacturing. Titanium offers an excellent strength-to-weight ratio and doesn't corrode. It's used in some high-performance exhaust systems and engine components. Titanium can withstand very high temperatures without degrading. However, It's extremely expensive and difficult to work with, limiting its use to exotic vehicles where cost is secondary to performance. Kevlar, the same material used in bulletproof vests, is used in some high-performance tires. The Kevlar belts are lighter and stronger than steel, allowing for lighter tires that can withstand higher speeds. Kevlar is also used in racing vehicle construction for its combination of lightweight and impact resistance. Tempered glass is used in side windows and rear windows. It's designed to shatter into small, relatively harmless pieces rather than large, sharp shards if broken. The windshield uses laminated glass, which has a plastic layer sandwiched between two layers of glass. If broken, the plastic layer holds the glass pieces together, preventing them from flying into the passenger compartment. Gorilla Glass, developed by Corning for smartphone screens, is now being adapted for automotive use. It's thinner and lighter than conventional automotive glass, while being just as strong. Using Gorilla Glass for windows can reduce vehicle weight by over 20 pounds, improving fuel economy. Some luxury manufacturers have already adopted it. Advanced composites combining carbon fiber with other materials are being developed for mass-market vehicles. These materials could provide the strength of steel or aluminum at a fraction of the weight. Manufacturing techniques are improving, gradually reducing costs to levels where composites might become common in ordinary cars rather than just exotic supercars. Early automobiles used acetylene gas lamps for headlights. A carbide generator produced the acetylene gas from calcium carbide and water. These lamps were bright but dangerous and required constant tension. Electric headlights appeared in 1898, but didn't become common until after 1910 when battery and generator technology improved. Sealed beam headlights, introduced in 1940, combined the bulb, reflector, and lens into a single unit. They provided consistent performance and were easy to replace. For decades, all cars in the United States used one of few standardized sealed beam sizes. This changed in 1983 when regulations allowed composite headlights with replaceable bulbs. Halogen headlights use a halogen gas inside the bulb that reacts with a tungsten filament, allowing higher operating temperatures and brighter light. Halogen headlights appeared in European cars in the 1960s and became common worldwide by the 1980s. They're brighter and last longer than ordinary incandescent bulbs. High-intensity discharge, or HID, headlights use an electric arc between two electrodes to excite xenon gas, producing a very bright white or slightly blue light. HID headlights appeared in luxury cars in the 1990s. They're much brighter than halogen lights and last longer, but they're more expensive and require time to warm up to full brightness. LED headlights use light-emitting diodes instead of filaments or gas. LEDs are extremely energy-efficient, compact, and long-lasting. Early LED headlights appeared in the 2000s on exotic cars. As technology improved and cost decreased, LED headlights have become common even on economy cars. They allow designers to create distinctive light signatures. Adaptive headlights automatically adjust their direction based on steering input, speed, and road conditions. They can swivel to illuminate around curves, adjusting beam patterns to maximize visibility without blinding oncoming drivers. Some systems use cameras to detect other vehicles and selectively dim portions of beam to avoid causing glare while maintaining maximum lighting everywhere else. Laser headlights, introduced on the BMW i8, use lasers to excite phosphorus, creating extremely bright light. Laser headlights can illuminate over 600 meters ahead, twice the range of LED lights. The technology is currently very expensive and found only on exotic vehicles, but it demonstrates a continuing evolution of automotive lighting. Radial tires have cords that run perpendicular to the direction of travel, from bead to bead. This construction provides better traction, longer wear, and improved fuel economy compared to older bias ply tires, where cords crisscross at angles. Michelin introduced radial tires in 1946, but they didn't become common in America until the 1970s. Run-flat tires have reinforced sidewalls that can support the vehicle's weight even when the tire is deflated. This allows driving to a repair facility without changing the tire on the roadside. Run-flat tires eliminate the need for a spare tire, saving weight and cargo space. However, they provide a harsher ride and are more expensive than conventional tires. Low rolling resistance tires reduce the energy needed to keep the tire rolling. Specially formulated rubber compounds and optimized tread patterns minimize energy loss from tire flex and friction. These tires can improve fuel economy by several percent. Most hybrid and electric vehicles use low rolling resistance tires to maximize range. Winter tires use rubber compounds that remain flexible in cold temperatures, providing better traction on snow and ice. The tread patterns have more small channels and edges to grip slippery surfaces. Winter tires dramatically improve safety in cold climates. Some European countries require winter tires during certain months, recognizing their safety benefits. Tire pressure monitoring systems became mandatory on all new cars in the United States in 2008. These systems alert the driver when tire pressure drops below a safe level. Proper tire pressure improves safety, extends tire life, and optimizes fuel economy. Some systems monitor pressure in real time, displaying each tire's pressure on the dashboard. Airless tires that can't go flat are being developed by several manufacturers. These use flexible spokes or mesh structures instead of air pressure to support weight. Airless tires would eliminate flats and the need for pressure monitoring. However, they currently provide a harsher ride than pneumatic tires and are heavier. Development continues to overcome these limitations. The cassette tape player became popular in cars during the 1970s and 1980s. Unlike 8-track tapes, cassettes allowed fast-forwarding and rewinding. Portable cassette players could be taken out of the car and used elsewhere. Auto-reverse players could flip between sides automatically, providing hours of continuous music. Cassettes dominated car audio until CD players became common in the 1990s. CD changers allowed storage of multiple discs in the trunk or glove box, providing hours of music without changing discs. These mechanical marvels could hold 6 to 12 CDs and select any disc on command. Premium systems offered faster disc changing and better error correction for bumpy roads. CD changers represented the peak of physical media in cars before digital music took over. Satellite radio, introduced in the early 2000s, provides hundreds of channels of commercial-free music, news, sports, and talk programming nationwide. Unlike traditional radio, the signal doesn't fade when you drive out of range of local stations. Satellite radio requires a subscription and special receiver, but offers consistency and variety that FM radio cannot match. Bluetooth connectivity allows wireless pairing of phones with car audio systems. First appearing in the mid-2000s, Bluetooth made it easy to make hands-free calls and stream music from phones. Modern systems connect automatically when you enter the car and can support multiple paired devices simultaneously, allowing easy switching between drivers or passengers. Navigation systems moved from specialized standalone units to integrated dashboard systems in the 1990s. Early systems used CDROMS for map data and required expensive annual updates. Modern navigation systems use GPS satellites for positioning and can receive real-time traffic information to suggest faster routes. Many now use internet connectivity to provide the most current maps and information. Voice control systems allow drivers to adjust settings, make calls, select music, and enter navigation destinations without taking hands off the wheel or eyes off the road. Early systems required specific command phrases and were frustrating. Modern systems use natural language processing and can understand conversational requests. The technology continues improving as artificial intelligence advances. Body-on-frame construction, where the body sits on a separate frame, was universal in early automobiles. This method is simple and allows the frame to flex over rough terrain without stressing the body. Trucks and some SUVs still use body-on-frame construction for its strength and durability. However, this design is heavier than modern alternatives. Unibody construction integrates the frame and body into a single structure. This saves weight and allows more interior space for a given exterior size. Unibody vehicles generally ride and handle better than body-on-frame vehicles. The design became common in passenger cars in the 1960s and is now used in most cars and crossover SUVs. Just-in-time manufacturing, pioneered by Toyota, minimizes inventory by having parts arrive at the factory just hours before they're needed. This reduces storage costs and waste but requires sophisticated logistics and reliable suppliers. A disruption anywhere in the supply chain can halt production. The 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan demonstrated the vulnerability of just-in-time systems when many factories worldwide had to stop production due to part shortages. Hydroforming uses high-pressure fluid to shape metal into complex forms. This allows creation of shapes that would be impossible with traditional stamping. Hydroformed parts can be lighter and stronger than conventional parts. The technology is used for frame rails, exhaust components, and structural parts. However, the equipment is expensive, limiting hydroforming to high-volume applications. Friction stir welding, invented in 1991, joins metals without melting them. A rotating tool generates friction heat that plasticizes the metal, allowing it to flow together. This creates stronger joints than traditional welding and works on aluminum alloys that are difficult to weld conventionally. The technique is used in automotive, aerospace, and marine applications. Laser cutting provides extreme precision in cutting sheet metal for body panels. Lasers can cut complex shapes quickly and accurately, reducing waste and allowing more intricate designs. The technology has become standard in modern automotive manufacturing, enabling the detailed character lines and complex curves seen on contemporary vehicles. Pearl paints contain tiny mica flakes coated with metallic oxides. These flakes reflect light at different angles, creating depth and color shifts depending on viewing angle. Pearl paints can appear to change color as you walk around the vehicle. They're more expensive than solid colors and require more skill to apply and repair properly. Candy paints use translucent colored layers over a reflective base, creating deep, rich colors that seem to glow. These paints are extremely difficult to repair because matching the exact number of translucent layers is nearly impossible. Any repair will be visible. Candy paints are typically reserved for custom cars and exotic vehicles where the stunning appearance justifies the practical drawbacks. Matte finishes have become popular on high-end vehicles in recent years. These flat, non-reflective paints create a distinctive appearance. However, matte finishes require special care. They can't be waxed and are easily damaged by automatic car washes. Touch-up is difficult because any shiny spot will be obvious. Despite these challenges, matte finishes command premium prices. Chameleon paints shift between multiple colors depending on lighting and viewing angle. They might appear purple from one direction, blue from another, and green from a third. These paints use multiple layers of special pigments that reflect different wavelengths. They're expensive and require expert application, but create truly unique appearances. Self-healing paint clear coats contain polymers that can repair minor scratches through heat. Sunlight or hot water causes the polymers to flow into scratches, making them disappear. This technology can eliminate the fine swirl marks and light scratches that accumulate on any car. The self-healing effect is limited to very minor damage, but can keep paint looking newer longer. Chrome Delete, wrapping chrome trim in black or body-colored vinyl, has become a popular customization. Originally done to create a more aggressive or stealthy appearance, Chrome Delete is now offered by manufacturers on some models. The trend reflects changing aesthetic preferences away from the chrome-heavy designs popular in previous decades. Homologation specials are road cars built primarily to satisfy racing regulations that require a certain number of street-legal versions. The Porsche 959 was built partly to qualify for Group B rally racing. Only 337 were made, but the 959 pioneered technologies like adjustable ride height, tire pressure monitoring, and sequential turbocharging that would later appear in mainstream vehicles. The Lancia Delta S4 was a Group B rally car that required 200 road-going versions for homologation. The S4 used both a supercharger and a turbocharger on its engine, providing power across the entire RPM range. Group B rallying was banned after a series of fatal accidents, making the S4's career brief. Today, these homologation specials are extremely valuable collector vehicles. Aston Martin built only 37 copies of the DB4 GT Zagato in the early 1960s to qualify for GT racing. Each car was built by hand in Italy by Zagato. The lightweight aluminum bodies and powerful engines made them competitive racers. Zagato DB4 GTs rarely come up for sale, but when they do, they command prices in the tens of millions of dollars. The McLaren F1 was designed as the ultimate road car without racing in mind, yet achieved remarkable racing success. To compete in GT racing, McLaren built the F1 GTR version. The road cars gained value from the racing success, and McLaren F1S are now among the most valuable collector cars in the world, selling for over $20 million. Limited production runs create exclusivity and collector value. Ferrari typically builds fewer cars than demand would support, maintaining brand prestige through scarcity. Some limited editions celebrate anniversaries or racing victories. Others showcase new technologies. The combination of limited numbers and special features makes these vehicles highly sought after by collectors. Analog gauges with mechanical needles have given way to digital displays in many modern vehicles. Early digital dashboards in the 1980s used simple LED or LCD displays. Modern digital instrument clusters use high-resolution screens that can reconfigure to show different information. Some systems create virtual analog gauges on digital screens, combining traditional familiarity with digital flexibility. Heads-up displays project information onto the windshield or a transparent panel in front of the driver. The display appears to float several feet ahead, allowing drivers to see critical information without looking down. Originally developed for fighter jets, heads-up displays first appeared in production cars in the late 1980s. Modern systems can display navigation arrows, speed, and various warnings. The tachometer, which displays engine RPM, wasn't originally included in most production cars. It was considered a racing instrument unnecessary for normal driving. Sports cars began including tachometers in the 1950s, and they gradually became common even in ordinary cars. Today, tachometers are standard equipment, though their importance is decreasing with the rise of automatic transmissions. Digital speedometers were popular in the 1980s, particularly in Japanese cars. However, many drivers found them harder to read at a glance than analog speedometers. By the 1990s, most manufacturers had returned to analog speedometers. Now, digital instrument clusters can display either analog-style or digital speedometers, or both simultaneously, letting drivers choose their preference. Warning lights have proliferated as vehicles have become more complex. Modern cars can have dozens of different warning indicators for everything from low washer fluid to complex emissions system faults. Color coding helps prioritize. Red typically indicates serious problems requiring immediate attention. Yellow suggests caution or service needed soon, and green or blue indicates systems are active and functioning. The center console has evolved from a simple radio to a complete information and entertainment hub. Modern systems can have screens over 12 inches diagonal, rivaling tablets. They control audio, climate, navigation, phone, and vehicle settings. Some manufacturers are reducing physical buttons in favor of touchscreen controls, though this creates usability concerns when drivers need to adjust settings while driving. Active rear spoilers deploy at high speeds to increase downforce, improving stability. At lower speeds, they retract to reduce drag and improve fuel economy. The Porsche 959 pioneered this technology in the 1980s. Today, many sports cars and performance vehicles include active spoilers, with some systems having multiple positions for different driving conditions. Vortex generators are small fins, typically on the roof or rear window, that create controlled air vortices. These vortices energize the boundary layer, helping air stay attached to the vehicle's surface longer. This can reduce drag and decrease wind noise. Mitsubishi Evos and Subaru WRXs famously featured prominent vortex generators on their roofs. Air curtains direct airflow along the sides of wheels to reduce turbulence. Vents ahead of the front wheels channel air around the wheel wells, preventing it from being disturbed by the rotating wheels and tires. This reduces drag and can improve fuel economy by several percent. Many modern cars incorporate air curtains into their front bumper designs. Diffusers at the rear of the vehicle accelerate air flowing underneath, creating low pressure that helps suck the car toward the ground. This increases downforce without the drag penalty of a large wing. Diffusers became common on race cars in the 1970s and now appear on many performance-oriented road cars, from sports cars to hot hatchbacks. Mirror design has improved significantly for aerodynamics. Modern side mirrors are carefully shaped to minimize drag and wind noise. The mounting points are optimized, and some mirrors include small fins or ridges that direct airflow. A few manufacturers have begun replacing side mirrors with cameras, eliminating the drag entirely while improving driver visibility. Underbody panels create smooth airflow beneath the vehicle. Most modern cars have at least partial underbody coverage. Some performance and economy-focused vehicles have nearly complete underbody panels. Smooth underbodies reduce drag and can prevent lift at high speeds, improving both fuel economy and high-speed stability. Gas turbine engines have been tested in automobiles since the 1950s. Chrysler built over 50 turbine cars in the 1960s and loaned them to ordinary drivers for evaluation. The turbine engine was smooth, powerful, and could run on various fuels, including diesel, kerosene, and vegetable oil. However, poor fuel economy, high cost, and slow throttle response prevented commercial success. The Rover BRM racing car used a gas turbine engine at the 1963 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was remarkably reliable, completing the race when most competitors retired. However, racing regulations were quickly changed to limit turbine engines, effectively ending their competition use. The experiment showed that turbines could be competitive but also revealed their limitations. Steam cars were common in the early 1900s, competing with gasoline and electric vehicles. The Stanley steamer set a land speed record of 127 miles per hour in 1906. Steam engines provided smooth, powerful torque, but required long warm-up times and careful operation. By 1920, improved gasoline engines had made steam cars obsolete, though a few remained in production until the 1930s. Stirling engines, which run on external heat sources, have been tested in automotive applications. They're quiet, efficient, and can use various heat sources. However, they're heavy, expensive, and have poor power-to-weight ratios. Some submarines and specialized applications use Stirling engines, but they've never succeeded in automobiles despite decades of development attempts. Flywheel energy storage systems have been tested as alternatives to batteries for hybrid vehicles. A heavy flywheel spins at very high speeds in a vacuum to store energy. Flywheels can charge and discharge more quickly than batteries and don't degrade with cycling. However, they're heavy, expensive, and present safety challenges if the containment fails. Some racing series have experimented with flywheel hybrid systems. The Thrust SSC, driven by Andy Green, became the first car to break the sound barrier in 1997, reaching 763 miles per hour. Powered by two jet engines from a fighter aircraft, the vehicle consumed 18 gallons of fuel per mile. The sound barrier attempt required a dry lake bed miles long. When the vehicle went supersonic, it created a sonic boom heard for miles. The Bugatti Chiron Supersport reached 304 miles per hour in 2019, making it the first production car to exceed 300 miles per hour. The vehicle used a quad-turbocharged 8-liter W16 engine, producing 1,600 horsepower. Special tires had to be developed to withstand the forces at such extreme speeds. Only 30 examples were built, each costing over $3 million. The longest recorded distance driven in a single vehicle is over 3 million miles. Irv Gordon drove his 1966 Volvo P1800 over 3 million miles before his death in 2018. The car required regular maintenance and some rebuilds, but used the original engine block. Gordon's dedication to maintenance demonstrated what's possible with proper care. The fastest accelerating production car is a Tesla Model S Plaid, which can reach 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds using 3 electric motors producing over 1,000 horsepower. The instant torque of electric motors enables acceleration that internal combustion engines cannot match. This performance is available at the touch of a pedal in a 4-door sedan. The Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute is theoretically capable of exceeding 330 miles per hour, though this hasn't been tested due to the lack of suitable venues. The vehicle's aerodynamics are optimized for minimum drag rather than maximum downforce. The 1,600 horsepower engine runs on E85 fuel. Whether the theoretical top speed will ever be reached remains uncertain. Heated seats first appeared in Cadillacs in the 1960s. Early systems were simple, using basic heating elements similar to electric blankets. Modern heated seats have multiple heat levels and can warm quickly. Some premium vehicles offer heated rear seats and even heated armrests. The The feature that was once a luxury is now common even in economy cars. Cooled seats use small fans to blow air through perforated leather. Some systems actively cool the air before it reaches the seat occupant. Cooled seats are particularly popular in hot climates where leather seats can become uncomfortably hot. The feature appeared first in luxury vehicles, but is spreading to mainstream models in certain markets. Massage seats have multiple inflatable bladders that rhythmically inflate and deflate to massage the driver or passenger. Programs offer different massage patterns and intensities. Premium systems have over a dozen separate massage zones. These features, once found only in ultra-luxury vehicles, are appearing in mainstream luxury sedans and SUVs. Memory seats can store positions for multiple drivers, automatically adjusting when different people use the vehicle. Modern systems remember not just seat position, but also mirror positions, steering wheel position, and even climate preferences. The vehicle can recognize different key fobs and adjust settings automatically when different drivers approach. Ventilated steering wheels have channels that flow air through the rim, preventing sweaty hands in hot weather. Some systems can heat the steering wheel for cold weather comfort. Modern steering wheels can have over a dozen buttons controlling various functions, making the steering wheel itself a complex component requiring sophisticated engineering. Ambient lighting throughout the cabin allows customization of the interior atmosphere. LEDs in multiple colors can illuminate door panels, dashboard, center console, and footwells. Some systems offer dozens of colors and can adjust brightness based on time of day. This creates a more pleasant environment, particularly during night driving. The Amphicar, produced in the 1960s, could drive on roads and float in water. On land, it used the rear wheels for propulsion. In water, twin propellers powered it to about 7 miles per hour. Over 3,800 were built, and many still exist today. President Lyndon Johnson owned an Amphicar and enjoyed surprising guests by driving into a lake while shouting that the brakes had failed. The BMW Isetta was a tiny bubble car with a single front opening door. The entire front of the car, including the steering wheel and instrument panel, swung open for entry. The Isetta was powered by a motorcycle engine and could achieve over 50 miles per gallon. Over 160,000 were built in the 1950s and early 1960s, providing affordable transportation in post-war Europe. The Reliant Robin was a three-wheel car popular in Britain. It had a single front wheel and 2 rear wheels. Three-wheel vehicles qualified for motorcycle licenses in Britain, making them accessible to more drivers. The Robin had a reputation for tipping over in sharp turns due to its narrow track. Despite this, over 60,000 were built. The DeLorean DMC-12, famous as a time machine in Back to the Future, had unpainted stainless steel body panels and gull-wing doors. Only about 9,000 were built before the company collapsed amid financial scandal in 1982. The cars were underpowered and had quality issues, but the distinctive styling made them icons. Values have increased dramatically due to movie fame. The POP-50, produced on the Isle of Man in the 1960s, holds the record as the smallest production car ever made. It's just 54 inches long and weighs less than 130 pounds. The P-50 has 3 wheels, 1 seat, 1 door, 1 windshield wiper, and 1 headlight. About 50 were originally built, and they're now valuable collector items. The 1 million Corvette was built in 1992 after 39 years of production. This white convertible now resides in the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The Corvette is America's longest-running sports car nameplate, having been in continuous production since 1953 through 8 distinct generations. Ferrari celebrated building their 10,000th car in 1987, 40 years after the company was founded. This milestone highlighted Ferrari's exclusive nature. Other manufacturers build more cars in a few months than Ferrari had built in 4 decades. Today, Ferrari still limits production to maintain exclusivity, building fewer than 10,000 cars annually. The 100 million Ford vehicle was built in 1959, roughly 56 years after Ford was founded. This milestone represented an enormous achievement in mass production. The vehicle was a Galaxy hardtop that toured the country in celebration. Ford reached 350 million vehicles by 2004. Volkswagen built the 21,529,464th Beetle in 2003, surpassing the Model T's production record that had stood for over 75 years. This final original Beetle was built in Mexico and marked the end of an era. A limited production of new Beetles continued using a modern platform, but the classic design's production ended after 65 years. The fastest production ramp-up in automotive history might be the Tesla Model 3. Tesla went from 0 Model 3s to over 300,000 annually in just 3 years, despite significant production challenges. The company built entirely new factories and pioneered new manufacturing techniques to achieve this growth rate. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration was created in 1970 to set safety standards for vehicles. Prior to NHTSA, there were minimal federal safety requirements. The agency developed crash testing protocols, established safety standards, and has the authority to recall defective vehicles. NHTSA's work has saved countless lives through improved vehicle safety. 5-mile-per-hour bumpers became mandatory in the United States in the 1970s. Bumpers had to withstand 5-mile-per-hour impacts without damage to safety equipment. This led to large, prominent bumpers on cars of that era. The regulation was later relaxed to 2.5 miles per hour for lighter bumpers. Modern bumpers prioritize pedestrian safety and aerodynamics over damage resistance. Side impact standards, introduced in the 1990s, required vehicles to protect occupants in side collisions. This led to side impact beams in doors, stronger door frames, and eventually side curtain airbags. Side impacts had been particularly deadly before these standards, and the regulations significantly improved survival rates. Roof crush standards ensure that vehicle roofs can support a certain multiple of the vehicle's weight without crushing. This protects occupants in rollover crashes. The standards have become progressively stricter, requiring roofs to support 3 times the vehicle's weight for models from 2012 onward. Stronger roofs have reduced serious injuries and deaths in rollover accidents. Mandatory backup cameras, required on all new vehicles since 2018, address the problem of backover accidents. Children and small adults can be invisible behind vehicles when drivers are backing up. Cameras provide visibility of the area directly behind the vehicle. The regulation has already reduced backover accidents and injuries. Child safety seat standards have evolved significantly. Latch systems, introduced in 2002, provide standardized anchor points for child seats, making installation easier and more secure. Modern vehicles have child seat anchors in multiple seating positions, and the seats themselves have improved dramatically in their ability to protect children in crashes. Automobiles have transformed human civilization in barely more than a century. They've changed where we live, how we work, and how we connect with each other. The freedom to travel anywhere, anytime has become fundamental to modern life in most of the world. The technology has evolved from simple horseless carriages to sophisticated machines with thousands of components working in harmony. Electronic systems, advanced materials, complex manufacturing processes, all combine to create vehicles that are safer, more efficient, and more capable than ever before. Yet the basic appeal remains unchanged. The automobile represents independence, possibility, and the freedom of the open road. Whether it's a practical economy car or an exotic supercar, each vehicle tells a story and serves a purpose in someone's life. As you drift into sleep, perhaps you're thinking of a memorable journey, a beloved car from your past, or dreams of future adventures. The automobile has been part of human experience for generations now, shaping our world in countless ways. Rest peacefully. Tomorrow, these remarkable machines will be ready once again to take us wherever we need to go. The road continues forward, always offering new destinations and possibilities. Sleep well. Dream of open highways, perfect weather, and the quiet satisfaction of a journey well traveled. Good night.